you're running for Congress. Like, what's your main message? What are your points you're running on?
Yeah, I'm running for United States Senate versus Amy Klobuchar, and I'm the anti-globalist, anti-establishment, anti-corrupt PAC money, interest money, lobbies. I'm the anti-post-World War II Democrat liberal order. The three main talking points were border debt forever wars. That's what we've been trying to stress to people. Our country's bankrupt. We got to close our border and stop getting involved in these wars, end these wars. So that's been the central message. But mostly, I've been thrusted into defending how black people in this country should be able to think what they want to think, and obviously that's more controversial than Satanism these days. So,
Yeah, Malcolm X figured it out.
yes, he did. Yes,
He
he
was
did. Ahead of the curve.
yes, he was. He was, and I think
Yeah.
that's why they took him out. But yeah. So how familiar are you with like the Jewish supremacy problem with respect to the slave trade and all that? I mean, have you really like dived into this deep, or kind of scratching the
Well,
surface?
I start by saying that I'm one of the few candidates who has repeatedly not been challenged on policy, but instead been criticized or lambasted by the mainstream media on anti-Semitic claims. And I got to go back to the beginning of how that started to help show just how corrupt it is on face value, right? When I ran in 2022 against Ilhan Omar for Congressional District 5 here in Minnesota, or I was trying to run against Ilhan Omar, I lost in the primary against the endorsed primary Republican candidate by about 700, 800 votes. Very low voter turnout for Republicans in Congressional District 5, especially in primaries. But anyway, I started my campaign outside of the Federal Reserve. And I said that my campaign was going to be a fight against globalism. And the Star Tribune, which is the newspaper of record here in Minnesota, which is owned by a former Republican state senator, by the way, Glenn Taylor, who also owns the Minnesota Timberwolves. Funny how that works. A Republican state senator ends up being in charge of a communist newspaper. But that's another story. Point is, the Star Tribune said for me to even say the word globalism was a dog whistle for anti-Semitism. And this is my first time getting involved in politics. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wait a second. Did they just print that?
Are they telling them
Did the
themselves?
newspaper, did the newspaper of record just say that for me to say globalism is a dog whistle for anti-Semitism? So I started to reject just the way that the Jewish identity is used in general here in America, but all around the world. And then as the campaign went on, and then I declared for Senate, I started to develop my own sort of intellectual, viewpoint on how the identities of blacks and Jews are used the same way. So as my Senate candidacy started, my Senate campaign started, I started saying that, and people started asking me more questions about what I meant. Some sound bites were taken. Sometimes people took the full context of what I said, but I do think we should start there, that blacks and Jews are used the same way politically. The black identity is used to justify the expansion of federal government in this country, and the Jewish identity is used to expand the global governance around the world. And it's based on the same grievance or historical genocide and sort of a crime against humanity, whether it be slavery or the Holocaust. And I reject the use of it. It offends me. Both of them offend me. It offends me, one, because I'm a black man, so I get the grift there, but also as a Christian, right? Because the Jewish identity for Christians isn't nothing. Now, it may not also be what everybody makes it out to be, but the Jewish history and Jewish identity is somewhat significant for people who are Christians. So to call Christians anti-Semitic on face value is sort of a scam, right? Especially if we have questions around how that identity is used. So I've been on the front line, and most of the criticism I've gotten in my campaign against Klobuchar has been he's anti-Semitic, and I just won't take. I'm just, no, I'm not.
I saw Trump hasn't even endorsed you yet, which is a little bit disappointing.
Well, I'll say this. In defense of Donald Trump, the man was touched by God, number one. I think all of the political stories in the last couple of months since Kamala declared or was put into place have been to distract from him surviving an assassination attempt. That was a miracle by anybody's standards. You could be an atheist. If you don't think that was a miracle, I can't help you much. I don't know what to do for you. But despite that, he still has the issue of being surrounded by a political culture that's corrupted from root and branch. So it's inside his wire right now even. And the AIPAC thing is a prime example. See, and this is why a lot of people get uncomfortable when I'm in the room, whether they be Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, MAGA, doesn't matter. I go straight to the heart of the issues. The what we call New World Order, and my friend Alex Jones, has been run through the wood chipper as a conspiracy theorist because he's talked about New World Order. Of course, you can't even say New World Order because it supposedly doesn't exist. But what we refer to as New World Order is really referred to in common political culture as the post-World War II democratic liberal order. This is historical fact and encyclopedia fact. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is right there on the record. It's right up in your face, which is how you could say it's not really a conspiracy. It's the way the system works. So the post-World War II democratic liberal order, also known as the international rules-based order, is what we mean when we say New World Order. This was the reconstruction of the global economy after World War II. Bretton Woods Conference turned into the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, United Nations, World Economic Forum. Israel was the justification for this reconstruction. That's just another fact. That's not anti-Semitic. The Holocaust, the defeat of the Axis powers, and Israel's inception as a nation were all used to say anybody around the world who believes in borders or any type of nationalistic rhetoric are on their way to becoming Nazis. And Nazism and fascism are the thing that we have to protect against going forward.
Yeah, I mean,
and what's
I find
happened
it a little
is,
strange that, in Israel, that's exactly what they do. They promote nationalism.
Yes.
They close their fucking borders.
Yes.
It has to be at least 75% Jewish. But in everywhere else that they have influence, they open the fucking borders. They destroy nationalism. Yes. They create division. They incite racism. And that's the scary thing to me is it's like rules for thee and not for thee, me. It's like, you guys do this, but we're going to do that. We'll push porn on the rest of the world, but in Israel, it's banned, And so,
yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll keep going, but that's immediately, yes. The Israel state is an explicitly ethno-national state. And they obviously believe in nationalism in Israel, and they obviously believe in borders, and more power to them. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. It's just a crazy contradiction to tell everybody else all around the world that to believe in borders makes you anti-Semitic. Yeah. And that is what they're trying to say. They don't say it. They say it makes you a fascist or a Nazi or a xenophobe. But what they're really saying, all in all, is it makes you an accomplice, kind of ex post facto. You're an accomplice to Nazi Hitler-esque ideology and racism and whatever else. So,
yeah, they
but
vilify the
what I was going to say is the international rules-based order has failed. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line, and it failed because it was based on lies, and it wasn't about Israel. And it certainly wasn't about bringing freedom and democracy all around the world by peace through strength and making nations self-determining. Israel would be one of those nations that we said we were making self-determining, but really they became a welfare nation. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't exist without us.
Not only, but yes, that's true, but most of these nations wouldn't exist without the American working class and middle class.
No, but I'm saying without our defense, without having the big brother to, protect them every time they fucking kick the hornet's nest, or fucking beat up the bigger brother, it's like they would cease to exist. They would have been wiped off the face of the earth. It's only because they have us to protect them that they've survived.
Partially true. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, the threat of us intervening is, in my opinion, what has saved
it's always
them.
there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's what saved them. I mean, I think otherwise they
would.
Well, no,
but that's not that's not true. What the real scenario that we're playing over there is we're playing mediator, and what we really are. And Ben Shapiro said this. I got a lot of controversy in the conservative movement, or a lot of criticism in the conservative movement for going after Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin after October 7th because they said the quiet part out loud. What America is actually doing by intervening in that conflict is supposedly preventing Israel from using their nukes.
which they shouldn't have in the first place, by the way.
Yeah, right. They stole them from us.
There's a
Not only they
legitimate
stole
argument
from us, but they denied having them. They created them in secret. They did everything that they don't want anybody else in the Middle East to be doing. So it's like this massive hypocrisy is what I have the big problem with, right? It's like if you at least practice what you preach, even if I disagree with you, it's like, okay, you're walking the walk, that you're talking. It's like, but they don't. They tell everybody else, you do this, and then we're going to do the opposite, and then we're going to talk shit to you if you don't do it, and it's just. That to me is what bothers me is the hypocrisy.
Yeah, they demand that we give them money and can fight for them and all that.
They are the cornerstone of the international rules-based order, geographically, politically, militarily. They are the sort of symbol and bedrock of this world order. And that's not anti-Semitic. It's just a historical fact. The first concrete action of the United Nations was the inception of Israel. And the lie that was told again was that we were going to make all these nations self-determining. We didn't make any of them self-determining. And because we didn't make any of them self-determining, what we created were welfare states. And we created reverse vassal states. Usually if you're paying somebody for protection, usually when a country is protected by a larger country, they pay the larger country a price or a fee for that protection. We pay everybody else.
Yeah, what's your thought on foreign aid? Do you think we should cut a lot of it or most of it, or what's your opinion on that?
Are you fucking kidding me? Give me a break.
Yeah, I'm for cutting all of it personally.
I'm allergic to the word. I'm allergic to the term.
So you don't want to fund these wars.
I think it's even worse. I mean, we tell them to do something, they say go fuck yourself, and then we give them aid on top of it. I mean, that's what we've seen in the last 6 to 8 months. Is like we'll tell them, hey, don't do this. They'll do it, and then they'll say, hey, give us more fucking money, and then we give it to them. Like it's the craziest relationship, and the only way you explain it is Mossad operations like Epstein Island, getting dirt on politicians and blackmailing these people and extorting them or whatever it is. But like our relationship with them is not at face value. Like there's no version of us, operating in our own best interest, doing what we're doing. And that's where I had the real problem. When fucking there's an Israel issue, every single one of them, right, left, or fucking center, whatever, every single one of them does that fucking tweet supporting Israel. We condemn this, we condemn that, we stand with Israel. We offer them support. Whatever it is, they all say the same shit. And why is that the one unifying issue? Maybe because that's the one place that's controlling all these motherfuckers.
I don't think that it's Israel controlling us.
Really?
I think we're using them.
They don't.
Let me show you how.
Tell me this. What do we get out of our relationship with Israel? What does America
I don't mean us.
get?
No, I don't mean the American. Oh, you know what they get? I'll tell you.
What's that?
They get an unlimited justification for military industrial complex, military armaments, military deployments, military turnover of equipment. What they get is when the Department of Defense goes to audit themselves, which is a crazy scam to begin with. When the Department of Defense goes to audit themselves and they're supposed to find $4 trillion worth of inventory and they only find 2. And everybody looks the other way because if the Department of Defense of the United States has inventory or money that goes missing, we all assume it went to altruistic purposes for our allies, foreign aid, Israel, etc. The reason why Israel is protected the way that they are, let me say this. Let me try and I don't have a problem with if we have a nation out there we want to be allies with, if we have a nation out there we want to be friends with, or there's a nation that we see the world similarly, that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Giving them money before our own problems are solved is always a problem, obviously. But I don't have a problem with it. The problem I have with this is the conservative movement, the Republican Party, claims that they're protecting Israel or allied with Israel on a biblical basis. And that is a lie. Not to say that Israel doesn't have biblical significance, but their purpose for doing it has nothing to do with their belief in God or their Christian heritage. That is a complete and utter pacification to get right-leaning conservative Christians, evangelical Christians, on the take with the military-industrial complex. They're doing it for military.
I mean,
Yeah,
They're
but
doing
we give
it
it to a different country though. Couldn't we just give it to
to steal money.
someone else?
Any
Always Israel gets it all.
any war would solve that problem. But I guess, like I said, I don't have an issue with a symbiotic relationship where we benefit them, they benefit us. Their relationship with us is purely parasitic. They suck the blood out of us. They provide us zero value, and in fact, not only do they not provide us any value, they fuck us up all the time. They blown up our ships.
No, they
spy on us.
no.
Terrorist
But
attacks
Dan,
on
but
us. They
Dan,
steal our shit. They give us bad intel. They sell our secrets.
Yes.
They steal our uranium. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the list goes on.
Yeah, I don't
but
think
Dan,
we
hear what
control them.
hear what I'm telling you, brother. Listen to what I'm telling you, brother. They don't give the American people anything, but our American politicians are paid handsomely.
Yeah, they're bribing people, so the Americans don't.
But
benefit
even
from
more
it.
important, but you have to understand this. Every country that has the United States dollar as their reserve currency and believe in the international rules-based order is dependent on the stability of Israel as a military outpost to continue the justification of funding for military. Everybody gets our foreign aid and our
This hurts
military
America, though,
armament.
so it's not good for the Americans. It's good for a few.
For
elites.
sure.
Yeah, and we have bases
But
all
that's
over
not the
Middle
point.
East.
The point is, why do we do it? The reason, and people have to understand this. Yeah, we can criticize our relationship with Israel, but understand why they're doing it. Then you'll be able to see everybody real clear, not only Americans, but all around the world. The reason they're doing it is the perfect justification and fault line for perpetual war.
We could do war with someone else, though. Israel definitely has control. There's like dozens of Jewish groups, like the ADL, the Jewish Congress.
For sure.
They certainly have a lot more control than any other country.
They have a lot more influence, for sure. They're the most effective lobby in the country.
Yeah, and the fact that we have a convicted war criminal coming there and giving a speech in front of our Congress, and everybody's just like up there clapping like baby seals, and this guy literally should be in jail, and we're applauding him more so than our president.